Hi there, it's Rachel here. It's hard to believe that this month it's been 7 years since I first started my activism against the Jehovah's Witness organisation, and it pretty much started off with the convention where they had the talk Beware of Human Apostates, and I was particularly interested in hearing that talk because I had been disfellowshipped as an apostate just a few months beforehand, and essentially the reasoning was, according to the elder in my meeting, was that I had different thoughts to their thoughts, which I agreed with, of course, but I did point out to them that it was quite unjust that a person who just thought differently to them should lose all their friends of the previous 25 years, which is what's happened, of course. I mean, I've had a couple of people that continue to talk to me when they see me, but they're pretty much on the fringes. But everyone else shuns. And I did bump into one of the elders that, the one that told me my thoughts were different. I've bumped into him a couple of times in the last couple of weeks, and he actually had the nerve to smile at me. I don't know if he recognised me. Anyway, I have decided to call this video the Ugly Watchtower. The Watchtower has a lot of ugliness to it. I think we'd all agree. I think one of the ugliest teachings of the organisation, which is what prompted me to stand up to the elders and what eventually got me disfellowshipped, was letting them know how much I disagreed with the way the organisation teaches Jehovah's Witnesses to view others who profess to be Christian. As you know, the teaching is that Jehovah's Witnesses believe that all other Christians are false Christians. They are considered to be weeds. They've been rejected by God and they've been stored up ready for fire. You can find that all in the July 15th 2013 Watchtower. And of course, more recent publications have gone on to talk about a similar thing, how it's only those who are baptised Jehovah's Witnesses that are supporting the anointed brothers, the governing body, faithful and discreet slave, self-appointed. Only those supporting them will have any hope of surviving Armageddon. Anyway, I took exception to that horrible teaching, and I had not agreed with it for a very long time, and it used to really bother me, you know, out in the ministry, if I'd be with my ministry partner, and I was quite interested to hear what other people who profess to be Christian, what they believed and why they believed it, because I realised that they would have reasons for believing the way they did. And it used to frustrate me no end that usually the partner that I would be with would just shut them down and have a whole lot of negative stuff to say once we left their door. I've heard some really horrible things being said. And it all comes from what the organisation was teaching us. And basically they taught that anyone that disagreed with them, with the governing body, that there was something wrong with their heart. They weren't honest, they weren't hungry, and they weren't humble. It was imputing, or they were imputing bad motives or evil intentions to these other, what I consider to be sincere, truth-seeking Christians who just happened to have got the information from a different source. So when I, addressed the elders at my judicial meeting, and I expressed to them that I did not believe that only Jehovah's Witnesses would be saved, that only they had the truth, that only they had God's favour, and that if you didn't belong to the organisation, you couldn't possibly have God's favour. And you could hear the horrible attitude in one of the elders. He was talking about people we meet in the territory, that some of them are very moral, he said, But they don't want to know about Jehovah, according to Jehovah's Witnesses. They're perfectly happy with what they are, he said. And I kind of wondered, well, what do you think they are? What are you saying? So he was suggesting that there was something faulty, something wrong with these people, who were probably more sincere truth seekers than he was, because let's face it, Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't really seek to establish truth. They just swallow whatever it is the governing body tells them. So anyway, to this day, it remains to be the thing I'm most proud of doing, of going through the judicial meeting and letting the elders know how I felt about what I considered an ungodly, God-dishonouring, to use a word that they use, teaching. If the governing body were to be judged the way that they judge every other human being on the planet, then they're going to fall flat on their faces. They pick on minor doctrinal differences that other groups might have, like, for example, the crucifix. I mean, who cares what Jesus died on? The point is that he died. It doesn't matter what the instrument of his death was, yet they go and make such a huge big song and dance about it, and basically accuse anyone who might use a crucifix as a reminder of Jesus' sacrifice. They will accuse them of being a weed and a false Christian and rejected by God. I mean, who the hell do they think they are, judging people like that? They don't read hearts. Jesus is the one, the Bible says, that will read the heart and reward or punish. So not these men of the governing body. And unfortunately, this kind of attitude and this black and white thinking, the us versus them mentality that we learnt when we were Jehovah's Witnesses, sadly it hasn't left even many ex-Jehovah's Witnesses who feel they have to make the same kind of judgments of other people, imputing bad intentions and bad and evil motives to what they do and what they teach, which is just ridiculous. They're kind of a bit like, when Paul warned, when he's talking to the early Christian congregations there, in, I think, his first letter to the Corinthians, I believe, saying, some of you are saying, I follow Apollos and I follow Paul, etc. And he had to remind them that none of them that they were following died for them. It was Jesus who died, and they should be following Jesus Christ, not men. Yet we see people, and including some ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, of acquiring followers after themselves, and at the same time they judge, slander, denigrate other former Jehovah's Witnesses who are pursuing their own Christian path. So it's very sad to see this happening. So anyway, I think I'll finish this video here, and I will let you know how I'm getting on with my activism with regards to Human Rights Commission very soon. There's exciting things happening in New Zealand, so I'll keep you informed. See ya, bye.